everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course, we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me in the captain's seat today is AMC's very own production manager, Mr. Dennis Zen.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of AMC Movie Talk. Looks like another Dennis Friday. But you guys should be interested in what we talk about before the show, because we had a very interesting Nicholas Sparks discussion, movie discussion before this.
And let's guess, it was 3 boys against the 1 girl. Anyway, we also have joining us AMC's very own Christian Harloff.
Oh, man, was that lucky one really good? False. What's up, guys? Nice to see you again.
And our special guest today, my buddy and pal, Jermaine Lucier from Slash Film.
Great to be back and great to be a huge Nicholas Sparks fan.
You guys are all terrible. All right, well, guys, yesterday, another Hollywood comedy legend and icon, Joan Rivers, at the age of 81, has passed away. Joan's daughter, Melissa, released these statements. It is with great sadness that I announce the death of my mother, Joan Rivers. She passed peacefully at 1:17 p.m., surrounded by family and close friends. My son and I would like to thank the doctors, nurses, and staff of Mount Sinai Hospital for the amazing care they provided for my mother. Cooper and I have found ourselves humbled by the outpouring of love, support, and prayers we have received from around the world. They have been heard and appreciated. My mother's greatest joy in life was to make people laugh. Although that is difficult to do right now, I know that her final wish would be that we return to laughing soon. While mostly known for her comedic work on television, Rivers also made guest appearances and voices in several films, including Spaceballs, The Muppets Take Manhattan, Shrek 2, The Smurfs, and even Iron Man 3. That was tough to get through. Dennis, what do you remember most about Joan Rivers?
I remember her most as Dot Matrix in Spaceballs.
Yeah.
That she was funny. I mean, she was actually, besides all her image and a lot of people, people love her, people hate her, she was actually funny and really hilarious. And I just watched that documentary. Have you guys seen it?
So good.
A Piece of Work?
Yes, amazing. A Piece of Work, I believe.
A Piece of Work, Joan Rivers. Yeah, you kind of get insight into who she is as a person, and she's actually, she's brutally honest, where sometimes she crosses the line, but she's hilarious, she's insecure, and one of the main things that I got from it was this desire for her to be, she wanted to be kind of recognized as more than a comedian, but an actress. I know she paved the way for a lot of female comedians, with her abrasive and aggressive style, but I think she really wanted to be taken seriously as an actress. Christian, what do you think?
I mean, look, I come from the comedy world, so being in stand-up for that long, she was not just female comedians, she paved the way for comedians in general. Just her balls-to-the-wall style. She didn't care about what people thought. I mean, she did, but she still knew when she was out there that she had to be honest with herself. And I'm actually a big Howard Stern fan. I loved her appearances on Howard Stern because she was never afraid to open up about who she was. And she would use personal things and personal pain to make us laugh, and she was very honest about that. So this is, of course, it's tragic when you hear about her passing. And what I've heard that's interesting is when she talked about her funeral, what she wants at her funeral. She wants like paparazzi there, and she wants people to big stuff. She wants like a big Hollywood funeral, and I'm curious if they're going to honor that, because she would want an extravaganza, I feel, and she was a legend, and it's sad to see her go. She was awesome.
Jermaine?
Yeah, I was a big fan of hers. The movie, too, really gave me a lot of insight into her because, she was a huge comedy star, but she didn't care where she performed. She just wanted to perform. The movie shows her going to all these like crappy venues, just performing, just to be herself. And what I really love about her, too, was that we're in this era now where everybody's got to apologize for everything. I could say the wrong thing on this show, and you guys would have to issue a big apology. Joan Rivers would say the wrong thing all the time and never apologize, and basically threw a big middle finger up and be like, I'm not apologizing. I said what I said, and I thought it was funny. And you know what happened? Nothing. She always got away with it because she just had that clout and that like chutzpah, and I loved it about her. And it's sad to see her go, but I mean, her legacy is just unforgettable.
Chrisley, what do you think about her passing?
I'm such a fan of Joan. I was super lucky to meet her on a couple different occasions, and you look at her and you'd think she'd be unapproachable and just a queen bee, but she wasn't. She was super approachable. She was super nice. She gave me some of the best advice I've been given since trying to break into this business. She was the most kind-hearted person that I had ever met. I read her book, Bounce Back, right after I lost my dad, and the words that she wrote in that book, it's a much more serious book than all her others, really ring true to who she was as a person. And she was just this great person. And right, like Jermaine said, she never had to apologize because she didn't care. But not only did she not care, she said things because they were funny, not because she was mean-hearted or evil or vindictive. She was just fun. She didn't take life seriously, and she just didn't care. And we need more people like that. So she'll be sadly missed.
I was just gonna say, you never assumed that it was an act with her. You could picture being at like Thanksgiving dinner with her, and whatever you saw on stage, she'd probably have that same conversation with you there. And it's just, and she brought that everywhere she went. And from her appearances on Johnny Carson all the way up to her last performance that she had, she was just true to who she was.
Never self-conscious. She would always joke about her plastic surgery and like be like, yeah, I do it. You know what? I don't care. Make fun of me.
Right.
Who cares? She's great.
All right, what's next?
The upcoming Ben Affleck directed film Live by Night has added 3 new women to the cast: Sienna Miller, Zoe Saldana, and Elle Fanning. The movie is an adaptation of the 2012 Dennis Lehane novel of the same name. The film is set in the Prohibition era and revolves around a Boston police captain's son, Joe Coolin, played by Affleck, who defies his father and falls in with criminals and eventually rises to power within organized crime. Christian, what do you think of Miller, Saldana, and Fanning joining Live by Night?
I dig it. I like this casting a lot, and I think that it has to do, if it was just another movie, I'd be like, oh, this is cool, I'm interested, but to see what Ben Affleck has done, I was thinking of Blake Lively in The Town, and the way he works with actresses, and his strength, from where he's come as an actor, 5-6 years ago till now, and things that he's done. And now, obviously, his skill is one of the most, you anticipate his movies the same way you do other huge directors. So when you hear this casting, I want to see what he does with these 3, because they're all very capable and talented actresses. So I love it. I'm on board, and I want to see what it is. And it's interesting, he's doing a Boston thing again. And I think some people will be like, "Why get out of Boston?" I don't know. It's kind of his niche right now. Let's see how long he's got. He's got the Batman thing that he's doing in another way. So I'm cool with it. I like it.
Jermaine?
Yeah, I think it's great. They're so different, all 3 of them, you know. And one thing I'm curious about is they just did a profile on Affleck in the New York Times, and they said that he's doing Batman versus Superman by day, and by night he's trying to take a 165-page script that they have for this movie and pare it down. So this is obviously a big, you know, sprawling crime epic, and I love that kind of stuff. You know, it reminds me of Scorsese, and that's sort of the road he's taking. So these 3 actresses are great, and I think, you know, like Christian said, I'm all for it.
I like these additions as well. I haven't read the book, so I don't know. From the synopsis, I can't really tell where these female characters, what they're going to play, because it seems to be more about Ben Affleck's character. Dennis Lehane, it seems like he's like the new John Grisham / Michael Crichton. Like all his books are being turned into movies now. The Drop, Mystic River, Gone Baby Gone, like all these movies. Sienna Miller is interesting to me as well, because she's like an actress that I feel like has the potential to break out, to become bigger, but she hasn't yet. Most people really
What do you mean, G.I. Joe?
Exactly. That's where most people know her from, is from being the Baroness in G.I. Joe.
Well, I think she basically doesn't make those choices. I think G.I. Joe is the rare film where she picked the big blockbuster. I think she takes the smaller movie. She doesn't embrace that she's this like beautiful, talented blonde. You know, she's like, I'm going to be very careful with this, and and to work with, Affleck, who's won an Oscar for screenwriting and for producing Argo, which he directed. I think, it says a lot about the film that she would be a part of it.
Well, and she also was in Layer Cake and Stardust that Matthew Vaughn directed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like she possibly can break out sometime soon.
Absolutely, and like Jermaine was saying, is the fact that when you want to work with Affleck right now, if you're an actress, he is he's the name Ben Affleck, the actor, but he is now in that super category, no pun intended, and as far as like with directing of what he can do, he's the guy, man. He's like, every movie he comes out, like Nolan, when Nolan's movie is an event, an Affleck movie is starting to turn into an event. So I'm excited for it.
Absolutely.
All right, now we're up to our buy or sell section. Chrisley, what do we got first?
The second trailer has been released for Horrible Bosses 2, the sequel to the 2011 comedy hit. Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Spacey, and Jamie Foxx will all return, along with new castmates Christoph Waltz and Chris Pine. Horrible Bosses 2 opens in AMC theaters everywhere on November 26th. Jermaine, what do you think of this new trailer?
I'm going to sell it. I wasn't a huge fan of the first film. I thought it didn't go far enough to make murder funny. I think you have to be really, really dark to make murder funny, like very bad things dark. And it didn't go far enough, and it was sort of passable comedy for me. This trailer I liked because it's not about murder. This one is about kidnapping. Chris Pine looks like really kind of crazy in it. And the trailer that's out is like a green band, but they really push it. Like there's some really things in there. I'm like, wait, they can say that in a green band trailer? So that was cool, but I'm just not excited about this movie in general, so I'm gonna sell.
I've mentioned this before. This is one of those rare cases for me where I, like you, thought the last movie was only okay, didn't really care that much for it. It wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be, and other people had told me. But for some reason, I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I think it's because of the cast. They bring Chris Pine and Christoph Waltz. And yeah, you're right. The Green Band trailer, I was really surprised. Some of the words they say, we can't even say here. And I was like, I'm surprised they let that go. Christian, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you guys, but I am going to buy the trailer. Same. I thought that the first one had some laughs to it. It didn't hit the way I wanted it to, but I did think that those guys' chemistry was really great. Sure. And that was what I think works about this trailer. If we're judging it as a trailer, I buy it because the trailer to the jokes, and the Jennifer Aniston scene, I think, is the scene we're all talking about with what we couldn't get away with her. But she's going to have the same shtick. I think a lot of it is going to be the same shtick, but I'm not judging on that anymore because I did that with 22 Jump Street, and I was wrong. But the only thing is 22 Jump Street played off the fact that, hey, we've done this before. If they do that in this route, in this movie again, it could really work. So I am excited about where this goes because I think we need a really good laugh comedy from these guys.
And I think I was interested to see that both Jamie Foxx and Kevin Spacey's characters come back. You know, that was really a big selling point for me on the first one, that these like Oscar winners would do this movie. I don't think they have as big a parts this time as we'll see, but the fact that they would come back for this and agree says a little something too.
Well, it's also Christoph Waltz. What's he going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
So you bring Christoph Waltz into it now.
The Green Hornet, you know.
Well, that's true, but I don't think he was able to shine the same way. You could be 100% right that it might not work, but what if he's able to knock out that?
You're totally true.
Well, speaking of Kevin Spacey, in the first one, I was hoping more. Have you guys seen Swimming with Sharks?
Yeah.
Like how he plays the ultimate horrible boss, and I thought like he was going to take that to the Horrible Bosses 1. So yeah, I'm going to buy the trailer. Yeah. All right, what's next?
A new poster has been released for the highly anticipated next movie in the Hunger Games franchise, Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. The poster features Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss wearing her Rebel Warrior outfit with her back to the camera. The film also stars Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, Julianne Moore, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jeffrey Wright, Sam Claflin, Jenna Malone, Stanley Tucci, Donald Sutherland, and opens in AMC theaters everywhere on November 21st. Dennis, buy or sell this poster. Careful, I'm sitting close.
Okay. I'm going to buy this poster because it's something different. It's unique. If you're walking down, let's say, the hallway of AMC theaters and you see this poster, the first thing you think is, what is that? And then you'll see the Hunger Games logo, and then you'll realize, oh, that's Jennifer Lawrence, you know? So it's something different. And I think it only works for a franchise this big and an actress this big. Because if you do this for like an indie movie or a less known actress, you'd be like, what the hell is that? But for me, I buy it. Christian?
I buy it because it's slick. It's really slick, and it's a contrast to the other posters. Other ones are, and other things we've seen so far with the pure white and everything going on with Donald Sutherland, and you're watching that, and then you see this, and she's the rebel. This is where the rebellion starts in Mockingjay. So, and you don't see her face; you just see the arrows. You know it. If you're familiar with the franchise, I think, like you said, you're walking through the hallway, you stop, and I think that you see the arrows, and when you see those arrows in here, you're like, that's Katniss. For non-fans, then you see the logo. Oh, what is this thing? This just looks like a badass, so I buy it.
Jermaine?
Yeah, buy it 100%. I think what I've loved about the marketing for this movie so far is that I think this is the first poster, at least theatrical, that we've seen Jennifer Lawrence at all. All the posters we've seen, at least online, except for me, there might be one little image here or there, have been other characters in the movie. Yeah. They're selling this as a huge cast war movie, you know, and they have the biggest star in the world, the biggest actress in the world. They're just the big. We don't even have to show you that yet. Like, we're just going to show you the back because it's so big, and we're going to show you how big and epic this movie can be. So I love this poster. Yes, it's eye-catching. Yes, it's slick, and it also is a super strong marketing choice. I think Lionsgate's knocked this one out of the park. So
I think they're also marketing to the fans as well, because what they're doing by releasing all the Capitol stuff first, it's like, oh look, it's almost what the Capitol would do, as far as, oh look, we're putting out all this, everything's fine, everything's good.
All this propaganda.
It's clean, it's nice, and then you have this dirty, gritty. But wait, who's that in the background going to mess stuff up? So I like the way that they're doing this. As a fan of the books, it fits to the storyline.
All right. Well, I'm guessing Chris Lee is going to sell this poster. Chris Lee, what do you think?
Come on now. I was so excited. So if you guys don't know, they have an official app that you can download on your phone, and you get all this stuff released to you before even we see it. So I, of course, have the app. So I got the poster early yesterday morning and was so excited because after the last group of posters, everyone was saying, where's Katniss? Now we got half of her. It's super exciting. They're releasing something in next month as well that is something to do with Katniss. Obviously not the movie, but hoping for another propaganda video. This is so exciting. It's the perfect poster. She looks ready to take down Snow. I can't wait for the rest.
Chris Lee's a Hunger Games hipster.
Yes,
She gets the stuff before everyone else. All right, what's next?
You know I love my young adults. All right, a new behind-the-scene featurette for the upcoming Ridley Scott film Exodus: Gods and Kings has debuted. In the video, Ridley Scott states, I felt there was a beauty to the massive scale of the material. You're working with at least 700 crew plus the 4,000 extras, and of course the armies will be expanded exponentially. 4,000 will be titled and grown into 20,000. The film stars Christian Bale, Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver, Ben Kingsley, and Aaron Paul, and opens in AMC theaters everywhere on December 12th. Christian, buy or sell this featurette?
The featurette, I buy. I like everything that Ridley Scott's talking about. I like the epic scale of it. I love the actors in it. This movie, I'm very scared. Ridley Scott, who is a great, great director, hasn't had a lot of great stuff recently. Counselor to me I just saw it recently, it was almost unwatchable. I thought Prometheus was gorgeous, but didn't deliver the way I wanted it to. This movie, I fear, could be boring. I hope it is not. From this featurette, it doesn't look like it will be because they're showing all the cool stuff in the featurette. They're showing the big battles. They're showing the relationship between Ramses and Moses. So that part, when he's talking about this relationship and it's going to lead to war, I'm like, yeah. But then I start thinking, please don't get to war and then in an hour and 45 minutes into the movie, and then by hour 3, I'm asleep. So that's what I'm skeptical about. But the featurette itself is a buy.
All right, Jermaine?
Yeah, I agree almost 100% there, I'll buy the featurette. I wish the featurette was the first trailer, because the first trailer just bored me, and I was like, I don't want to see another sword and sandal epic, even if it's directed by Ridley Scott. But like you said, the stuff that Scott says in this featurette about the relationship and about how these brothers were friends and now they're enemies, and this whole huge story that spans decades and decades, I was like, oh, that's what this is about. That's a little bit more of where he's going with the Moses story. I'm in. But yeah, how many times do we need to see 20,000 people, that are little CG guys running around? It's like Peter Jackson did it. Everybody else is doing it since then. I'm more looking forward to Ridley Scott's next movie. At this point, I'm just like, get this one out and get to The Martian. I want to see that. It's a smaller movie. So I'll buy this featurette, but I'm so skeptical about the film.
Casting controversy aside, which we've talked about in other episodes, I still have to sell it. I don't know. I didn't get that feeling that you guys did. I watched it and I was like, first of all, for a behind-the-scenes featurette, it's really short. Yeah. And they don't really go in depth. And usually with these behind-the-scenes things, I like to feel like, I'm on set with them, and I get a sense of what the story and all that other stuff was about. The only thing I got from this was it's epic. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have a lot of people running around. We're gonna have all these sets. It's gonna be really expensive. It's epic, but I didn't get a flavor of what the actual story is going to be like. So for that reason, I'm going to have to sell it.
It's a bait and switch. It's short because the movie's going to be like 4 hours long.
Definitely will.
All right, guys, we're on to our mailbag section. But before that, just a reminder, we're going to be answering live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at AMC Movie News, and Chris Lee will pick out a few questions that we'll answer after mailbag. But for now, what do we got?
Kyle Kizu writes, hey everyone, I was wondering, does making an all-time great film make the director of that film an all-time great? Frankly, I'm not sure how to approach this question. Frank Darabont made what many consider a top 10 or maybe even top 5 film of all time in Shawshank Redemption, but he's never ever mentioned among the great directors of all time. Are people writing these happenings off as a lucky hit? If they are, I don't really agree, because creating a masterpiece like Shawshank is not by luck. But I can't really disagree with him not being mentioned among the greats, because other than Shawshank and Green Mile, he doesn't really have much else that's highly notable on his resume. How would you approach this question? Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think it's luck that a director makes a great movie, and I think Frank Darabont's a very good director. But yeah, I also agree he isn't into that great category. Sometimes just the script, and this happens with actors too. Sometimes an actor will just pull off an amazing performance just because maybe the script, the character, the direction, whatever, all that stuff falls into line and they have that. So I feel like you need to have more of a history. You have to have at least 2 or 3 great films, some very good films, and we always throw around that term great. I do it myself, loosely. But when you think about who like the all-time great directors are, you think of like Scorsese, Kubrick, Spielberg, Hitchcock, and stuff like that. And you have like people of modern times that are on their way to becoming those, like Tarantino, Nolan, PTA, Aronofsky, people like that. What do you guys think, Christian?
I would say he's one of the all-time great writers, for sure. And I would say he's an all-time great talent. But echoing what you just said as far as resume, it's just so you have to have so many hits to do it. But he's one of those guys that you look forward whenever his name is attached to anything. If he's going to be directing, you go, okay, let's see what he's going to do. But he hasn't done enough of the. But it's also hard. It's like that band that puts out that great, the classic song of all time, and then how do they top it? Shawshank, if you ask most people, it's going to appear in their top 10 movies of all time. A lot of people. So that's hard to do, but as far as great directors, no, I'd say he did one of the greatest movies of all time.
Directing is such a hard job. I mean, there's so many things you have to juggle. I don't think you make a great movie by accident, like you said, Dennis. I think he is a great director. I just don't think he deserves to be put on those lists yet. He needs the resume. Darabont, though, like you said, he wrote an awesome script for Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That was way better than the movie, and it was very close to the movie, but they threw it out. And so, he's an insane talent. But I think he's also very prideful. He left The Walking Dead over a bunch of stuff. So I think in Hollywood sometimes that holds you back too, where you're like, I'm not going to just make any movie people throw at me. I'm going to, pick and choose my projects very, very carefully. He's doing The Huntsman next. So I think he's great. I don't think he's all time. I think you do need to show that consistency. I think he's just had a weird career. He's a weird example for this.
Now, that being said, though, if The Huntsman turns out to be a great movie, considering that first one, which you have Kristen Stewart trying to give that speech, and that's another episode. If he puts out something tremendous with this Huntsman character and makes this a franchise, he can get up there for sure.
I have a question for you. I'll answer it first. What's a movie in your top 5, top 10 list that it also is directed by someone that you don't consider a great director? For me, it's like I mentioned this before. City of God is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen the director's some of his other movies. Wasn't like that impressed with it. So what are some movies that are in your top 5, top 10 that are directed by someone that you wouldn't consider great?
I mean, as far as it's easy to say, but Episode 4, Star Wars, George Lucas is not a great director, but Episode 4 is fantastic. And it just, talk about the pieces and everything working together. That was it. Because then you go and you see Episode 1 or 2, and you can't say he's a great director. You say he's a great storyteller. Or fantastic, one of the best storytellers of all time. But I'd probably go Episode.
People forget that he didn't direct 5 or 6.
He did not.
I was
6, kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say, Return of the Jedi. But actually, to go off the Star Wars, then one of my favorite movies is The Sandlot, and I even forget the director's name sometimes. It's like 3 names. It's like Richie something, and he's a really nice guy. I follow him on Twitter, and he promotes The Sandlot, but hasn't done anything since. He's definitely not a great. He's a good director. He did a great movie, but I don't know. That's my example.
We're all forgetting Tommy Wiseau with The Room.
All-time classic.
All forgetting.
Absolutely.
Yes, direction at its peak. Chris Lee, what's next?
Connor Welton writes, hey guys, love the show. My question to you is, if you could be an extra in any film, what film would it be and why? Personally, I would love to have been one of the people who ran with Rocky and Rocky 2. Thanks, guys.
Jermaine?
Well, I mean, all time, that's really tough. So what I did was think about this question. I was like, let me look at my top 10 list. What's my favorite movie of all time? Swingers. And I would have loved to have been in the Dresden when they shot that. Because they just shot all that whole movie just walking around LA. So if you were just in a bar hanging out, then Doug Liman, who you don't know who he is, and Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn all walk in with their little camera and start shooting, that would have been something to be a part of and be in the background of, and then see how that film sort of hit the pop culture thing. So I would say I would want to be in a bar in Swingers.
Christian?
Boogie Nights. Let's see. I mean, I would also probably, going back to it's not going to be a surprise with Star Wars because of more of the Empire Strikes Back, to be a stormtrooper, to watch all the way that movie all went down, and just to be on set, like being one of the stormtroopers during when Han got frozen and watch that iconic moment go down with I Know, that would be cool for me.
For me, it would be Lord of the Rings: Two Towers. I think this is from Return of the King, but Two Towers, the Helm's Deep sequence. I would just want to be like one of the archers on the watchtower or something, and I'd want to watch like the whole scene of all the extras as Yurkai out there with the rain and them stomping the sticks, which I think, if I remember correctly, was kind of, they did that organically, like it happened on set and they decided to use that as part of the scene. I think that would just be really epic to see all of that.
Yeah, I think to steal that as well is to steal Braveheart. I think to be an extra during William Wallace's speech, I think it'd be impossible, even if you're like the worst acting extra, and I go, yeah! Like after that speech, you're probably inspired to forget your acting. So that would be a good one to be part of.
You guys are picking such uncomfortable movies. Like great movies, but I wouldn't want to stand in the rain for 4 days or have that huge suit sweating all the time. I mean, to be in Star Wars, sure, I guess. Yeah. But I'm sitting in a bar with a drink in my hand and just like watching the pretty girls.
Good.
Chris Lee, what about you? What would you want to be an extra in if you could?
The lucky one.
Yeah, no. I mean, God, there's so many, but just because we just talked about Hunger Games, all I can think about is being in Pan Am with that amazing makeup and those crazy costumes. That would be pretty amazing for me. But I'm with Jermaine. Swingers is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I go to that bar all the time, and it's not like it was in the movie. Sadly. So I would have liked to have been there when they were all there, for sure.
All right, guys, so that's it for Mailbag. Now on to the live viewer questions. You can tweet us at AMC Movie News. We're going to take a few right now. Chris Lee, what do we got?
Olga K says, are expectations for Episode 7 and Age of Ultron so high that both movies in reality are doomed to fail no matter what?
Doomed to fail? No. They might disappoint just because your expectations are so high. I mean, Phantom Menace, I remember the expectations were so high, and obviously those...
The expectations were so high that I saw it like 9 times. It wasn't until like 7 where I was like, wait, it's not that good. I mean, even like Indiana Jones 4, it was a similar thing where I was like, saw it the first time, like, that wasn't very good. Let me just see it again. It's not that good. So I think, both those movies can disappoint. I actually think as Episode 7 is my most anticipated movie ever, second to, maybe Episode 1, I think Ultron is like a lock, though. I mean, I trust Marvel at this point. How do you not trust Marvel at this point? And Joss Whedon. So I think expectations are definitely dangerous. But I think in this case, those movies will probably be okay.
The same reason you trust Marvel right now is why I trust Star Wars and what they're doing, is because it's ultimately Disney, and they're really good at putting together these teams. And everything we've heard so far, one of the main, I don't know how many people could disagree with, one of the main problems with the prequels is that Lucas was surrounded by a bunch of yes men. And he just ran off and did whatever he could, and no one was telling him no. This is a collaborative effort, regardless of what J.J. Abrams is in the forefront. With all these people that they're bringing in, this great talent, and the way that they're locking in all the canon from the books and the TV shows, it really looks like they have a clear-cut vision in the way they're going to do long-term storytelling. So I think that Episode 7, sure, if it doesn't, it's going to disappoint some people. There's going to be some guy on the internet that's going to go, that wasn't what I wanted. But I don't think you're gonna get a movie like Episode 1. I just don't.
No, I don't think so.
I think the bigger question is, can they live up to the expectations at all? And that's a little more interesting.
Yeah.
And probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. No matter how good it is.
To me, it will.
Yeah. But Episode 7 could win Best Picture, and still people would be disappointed.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Cassie says, is there any news about the Toxic Avenger remake?
I personally have not heard anything about it. Have you guys?
I just hope Robert Rodriguez doesn't direct it. It just seems like something that he would do, like another B movie that's going to come out and do. I don't know. I think that should, I don't know if it should be remade. It was a movie that, for its time, what it did, it was fun, and you probably saw it on VHS because your friends were talking about it, and it doesn't need to be remade.
I feel like, I think the last thing I read about it was like Schwarzenegger had his name loosely interested to play something or other, which I'm sure won't happen. But I mean, Trauma, I have no problem with if Lloyd Kaufman wanted to remake that movie, or if James Gunn wanted to remake that movie.
Come on, sure. I'm surrounded by trash. My face is melting, and then the Toxic Avenger.
So instead of Guardians 2, James Gunn's like, I'll do Toxic Avenger,
instead. Yes, exactly.
This is James Gunn.
All right, what's next?
Manas Gaming wants to know if you think we could see Galactus in the Avengers 2.
No, because they don't own the rights. Fox owns the rights. They made him into a big cloud, which was weird. But no, unless Marvel did some sort of deal that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
No.
What's next?
Ariel Noel says, do you think XMen Apocalypse would work better as a 2-part film?
I hope not. I mean, I hope not. I think that I'm okay with movie where we are with this franchise already. It's 2.5 hours. I mean, because I think Days of Future Past was like 2:15, 2:20.
Sure.
And I didn't care. I wish it could have been like 2:30, 2:40 because there was so much and it was so involved. As long as the story is told in the right way and you make it 2:30, 2:40, I think you can get everything in there.
I don't love this like whole trend of doing movies as 2 parts now. I mean, it works to an extent, you know, with the Harry Potter movies. We'll see what happens with the Hunger Games. But I think the Harry Potter thing was just like we have to appease the fans. But if that movie was a tight 2:45, that would have been awesome. You know what I mean? Like try to keep it one movie. If you have, you know, or like if they made a Game of Thrones movie, that couldn't be one movie.
Right.
But you know, if you have something of that epic. So. Yeah, I don't think XMen Apocalypse would work as 2 movies. No matter what they're planning, we don't know exactly what it is.
And with Harry Potter's like that book was like 600 pages, or whatever it was, so they had to cut it. That's what MockingJay actually scares me because it's the shortest of all the books, and that to me seems like, well, Harry Potter did it, let's do it now. Yeah. And Harry Potter, I think, needed to do it. This comic, even though there's a ton, I don't know.
It worked there, but I mean, like Twilight.
Right. You know who wants it to be 2 parts? Fox.
Fox does. Yes, this is
They're
true.
like, yes, let's make 2 of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
I thought this was a fun one. Henry Martins wants to know if you guys ever jot down thoughts about a movie while you're at a screening, and do you know if other critics do this?
Jermaine?
I do every movie I go to. I bring my notepad and I take notes. Most of the time, I can't read them after because we're in the dark, and I usually wait for like a scene that's like lighter, and I'm like, okay, who's this? But the thing is, I very rarely use them. I have the notebook full of just scribbles. I have Sundance film festivals just stacked up where I see like 40 movies, but I never use them. It's just to sort of like lock it into my brain, so when I write about it, it's there. And I do reference it if like a year. Sometimes I think I saw Looper, and somebody put on Twitter, "What year does blah 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 take place?" And I said it was this year. And Ryan Johnson's like, "No, it's this." I was like, "No, Ryan Johnson, you're wrong." And then he looked back and he goes, "Oh wait, you were right." So the notes can help. But not a lot of critics do it from what I see at the screenings.
I think a lot more than you think, because I mean, when Mark Ellis, who I review the films with as well, we're lucky enough to where we do the reviews on camera, so we bounce off one another. So if he says something, I'm like, oh yeah, that jogs my memory, we can go back and forth. But a lot of critics do it right, and most of it, like my buddy Dave White, who writes for movies.com, he does the same thing you do. He says, I can never read my stuff, but I write it down anyway. And he does that, but then there are some people who pull out those tablets, and then it's like, no.
Lights up the whole row.
Either remember it or write chicken scratch, because we're not doing flashlight, bright light right now.
Here's a tip that I learned from a friend of mine named Jeff Goldsmith, who runs Backstory Magazine. You take your tablet, you turn the screen off, put the Bluetooth on, you get a Bluetooth keyboard, put it on your lap.
Yeah.
This way it's all dark and it just all goes into your notes, which is really cool, but I don't know if I trust it. But it was a really cool...
You still hear that click?
You hear a little... No, yeah, you can get a keyboard that's quiet, though. Yeah, I mean...
I personally don't take notes. I try to take mental notes, but I think the first time I watch a movie, I try to just like absorb it as an experience, and then the second time I watch it, then I'm like, okay, let's figure out what went right, what went wrong, and all that stuff. Sure. All right, one more, Chris Lee. What do we got?
Cosmic Mac says, with The Rock as Black Adam, does that raise the stakes for finding an actor to go toe-to-toe with him as Shazam?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it does. But I think you don't need someone as big as a star, though, as long as you get someone as big. And I want to make the case for Joe Manganiello. I think he would be, he was rumored for Superman for a long time. He was supposed to get Superman, and then he just couldn't do it because of True Blood. He's a guy that's like 6'5", could match The Rock in size, and I don't think you need he's got charisma. That's all you need out of those characters. You don't need the big, huge superstar, because I don't know if there is another one besides The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like some of the great superhero movies we've had in the last 10 years, most of them weren't stars when they did it. You know, Hugh Jackman, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans to an extent. They just cast a good actor who was physically imposing and worked and had charisma and could, be good. So I think it definitely raises the stakes, but The Rock now, he's the biggest action star in the world. He's going to be the star of this movie on the top of the poster no matter who they cast, unless it's Channing Tatum. Then it's The Rock versus Channing Tatum. But I don't think you do that, because why would an actor that big want to go against The Rock? Plus, he's already been in a movie with him. So yeah, I think you just cast as best you can, and you let The Rock sell the movie.
All right, guys, so that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank the people joining me today. First up, Christian Harloff. Where can people find you?
Pretty easy. You can go on Twitter at Christian Harloff, and we just did a fall movie preview. You can check it out on Schmoes Know.
And also joining us, our guest for today, Jermaine. Where can people find you and your work?
You can find me on Twitter at Jermaine Lucier, and I write every day on /film.com.
And thanks to our lovely host, Chris Lee. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on social media at Chris Lee. And guys, I am leaving on a jet plane on Sunday and won't be back till Thursday. So see you next week.
And you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to the AMC Theaters YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/AMC Theaters. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.